When I was doing some research about how to build one of these, getting some ideas, there were really kind of two different styles. One where the forward portion was the outside fenced-in area, and then the entire back portion was all the enclosed-in, you know, barn, if you will, kind of area, where they would go in at night, roost, lay their eggs, that kind of stuff. Then there was this style where it was a lot more open space during the day, and then a smaller coop on top. So I decided to go with this version. We had 6 chickens at the time. We've lost a couple, now we're down to 4. And I just felt like it was better to give them more space outside to scratch around in the dirt and do what they want to do. So went with this version, and I'm really happy with it overall. Start off just giving you guys a full 360 view of it, and then I'll go into detail about all the different functions. Alright, first off, built the entire base with really strong 2x4 construction. I wanted to make sure that there would never be any issues with any animals getting into this. We don't really have a huge population of wild animals around here, but we do have a lot of dogs. So my dogs are fine with the chickens, but some of the neighbors aren't. So it's 2x4 construction, and then you can see I've got this pretty tight meshed wire around the outside. It's not just standard chicken wire. In case something like a weasel or a ferret does come along, they can't get in either. The big downside to this construction is that it is super heavy. I'll go over that more at the end of the video, but overall it's a success. I've never had anything get in and injure any of my chickens. Next up, you'll see that I did this side box for the laying boxes. It's its own little compartment off the side of the main coop area, and I built it with a raisable lid. If I look in quickly, you'll just see that if the light adjusts for you. There we go. 2 laying boxes in there. I'm just getting this ready now for them to go in this season, so I just put in fresh shavings. Coming around to the back, 2 main things here. First of all, this bottom area is a large door, swings open. So this is good for getting in the case there's something wrong with the feeder or waterer, or if I needed to get in if there's something wrong with one of the chickens, I can get in there. And then I also built this small door on the back. Stand back for you. So that's, I really don't use this door very often except for when it comes time to take them out at the end of the season or put them in at the beginning of the season. Moving around to the left side, these big pieces of PVC here. I've had all kinds of people stop and ask me what that's for, but it's really pretty simple. This left one here is for water, this right one's for food. The water one is actually broken at the moment, so there's nothing in it, but I just filled up the food one. So it's about a 3-foot piece of PVC. Fill it up. If I go back inside, I'll show you at the bottom. Really pretty basic. It's a 90-degree turn, then into a 45-degree turn. You can see the food in there, very easy for the chickens to get to. Now the water next to it, you see that little metal nipple sticking out the bottom of the PVC. I put that in there, and then I have a little cup feeder that screws threads into that, and the chickens peck at it and it fills up with water and they can get a drink whenever they want. Works really well, holds a lot of water, holds about 4 days worth of water easily. But the problem is that last fall it sprung a leak and I never got a chance to fix it. So I've got the cup piece off right now. I'm gonna have to take that whole thing out of there to figure out exactly where it's leaking and fix it. So for now I'm just putting a bucket of water in there for them. Now inside, one thing I forgot to point out is that I made the base of this whole thing here mesh. You can see that obviously some chicken droppings do get stuck in there and don't fall through, but over time as they walk on them, it all gets broken up and all gets pushed down through, so I never have to clean in here at all. I do have to clean out the layer boxes, but the inside portion here, that's about as dirty as it ever gets. And it also in the summertime helps keep it cool in here. You can kind of see up there at the top, I have vents at the top of the roof so that the air comes up through the bottom of this and then just vents out the top. Stays fairly cool. I try to keep them in the shade most of the time unless it's going to be a cool day. So they're always pretty comfortable in there. I never leave them in here during the winter. They have their own little barn kind of set up inside my garage for the winter time, but this is where they're at a good portion of the summer. Last piece is that it's got an axle in the rear with 2 solid core wheels that I think they came off of a Gardenway cart or some sort of a lawn tractor cart. I don't actually know what they came off of. But anyway, so it's just a solid piece of rod, metal rod through this, 2x8, and then wheels on the side. So as I mentioned earlier, the main drawback with this setup is that it is so heavy. I'm a fairly big guy, fairly strong guy, and I can move it, but it's a workout to move this thing around. I don't want to move it any more than I have to, even with the wheels. So I'm going to call this one version 1.0. Someday I'm definitely going to build version 2.0, and 2.0 will probably use 1x1 construction around the frame of it instead of 2x4. I think 1x1 would still be plenty strong enough as long as I got a good metal mesh wire on there to keep animals out. A couple more little features I forgot to mention. In the front right here, I built this little pull down door. It's spring loaded right there. So this is really nice. Usually after dinner I grab whatever we've got for compost scraps and I'll just open that up and toss them in for the chickens. And then the last thing is that I put this ramp, see if you can see it if the camera's focusing on something else. So the ramp the chickens walk on right there is on a hinge and has this pull string. That's handy for two reasons. Sometimes it's nice to get it out of the way when I'm trying to move the chicken tractor around, and also if I for whatever reason wanted to close them in at night into this top coop area, they go in there instinctively and go to sleep, and I can just pull that up and then that locks them in the top portion. So if I had to do some repairs down below or something like that, I wouldn't have to worry about the chickens being there the next morning. Anything else? I built this thing using primarily all scrap material that I had. So there are a few places where I cut some corners. I used, right here you can see I used staples that are really not meant for the outside doors and they're rusting. I also used interior paint in a few places because it's what I had, so it's peeling off in a few places. I did have to buy some things. I had to buy the pipe for the axle, I had to buy flashing for around the roof and some of the latches and handles and things like that for the doors, but overall I tried to do this really cheap. I don't remember exactly what I spent on it, but $100, $150 at most. That's probably too much. Anyway, so that's it guys. It's about 4 foot wide by 8 foot long. Easily holds 6 chickens. They really don't need a lot of space as long as you're moving this thing to a new spot every couple of days so they have fresh stuff to scratch into. So now that I reviewed the chicken tractor with you, I want to show you the other coop, which I actually just got as a work for trade kind of situation. I traded some work with a gentleman who has a side business building and selling these. So I'll give you a quick tour. This is the south side. It's got a window and has this latch right here, which opens up to 4 layer boxes. This whole piece moves, which makes it really nice when it comes time to clean this out. I can take that whole piece out of the way and then shovel out the bottom of this thing much easier than if that was permanently fixed in there. The south-facing window is really nice because this is where they're going to spend their winters from now on, and that will just really help make it more comfortable and warmer. Then around the back, here's the big door. Step out of the way so you guys can see that. Good sized door, big enough so that I can get in there and clean it out whenever I need to. Then looking inside, it's a pretty well built coop. Certainly nicer than a lot of chickens get to live in. This is, I think he said, is a 4 foot by 6 foot coop. He recommends it up to 6 chickens, which is pretty much the max I'd ever get. It's wired in, it's got light at the top, and then over here has a couple of outlets so I can plug in a water heater for the winter. Down at the ends, there's the door that they'll go out into their pen. Here's the ramp that will go out that door for them. And then this is a little waterer that was thrown in with the deal. So those are 4 nipple feeders at the bottom. The chickens peck on those, water drips out, and that's how they'll get their water during the summer. Yeah, so I'm pretty pleased. This is a pretty well built coop. It does also have this area at the bottom where they can get out and get underneath it and peck around. That's not so important for my chickens because right now we let them roam in this large dog pen that we don't use for our dog. So they get quite a bit of space to get outside. Obviously they're in the chicken tractor quite a bit, but when we don't have them in the chicken tractor, this is where they're at. You can see they have it pretty well pecked down right now, which is why I got the chicken tractor ready and they're going in that tonight. So there it is guys. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video.